Have you ever felt lonely? Like not just alone, but lonely as in like nobody knows what it's like to be you. That's what I've heard definition of loneliness. Okay, if you look at it and you think of it, okay, well, you're not alone, like as per se, like physically, but you're lonely in a way where not a single person around you, nobody knows what you're going through, nobody knows what you're experiencing. When not a single person knows what it's like to be you, that is loneliness. And we all experience it. Like we'll have people around us, millions of people, tons of people, followers on whatever social media. You can have all these friends, even in church. You know everybody in church. You talk to them, you hang out with them, you go to different events, you have dinner, cell groups, all these kind of things. You laugh with them, you celebrate each other's birthdays, you go through life together. But inside, no one knows what it's like to be you. You are unknown. So why does loneliness feel that way? I'm assuming you might have experienced it because I do believe we all have experienced it. Because loneliness isn't about being physically alone. It comes from when somebody, like nobody, not a single person, even in your family, understands or can even grasp even a little bit of your experiences in life and your story, your life story, the way you experience the world. Like nobody knows what you carry. Nobody knows your thoughts in your head. Nobody knows your fears. Nobody knows your struggles. Like not a single person. We all live inside our own experience in the sense of like our heart, our person, who we are has been shaped by our childhood, the way we experience life. Um, and that's for everyone. And that's what we all experience it differently in many ways. And sometimes that can make us feel very isolated. Unusually, like surprisingly isolated because we talk to other people and we're like, dude, they don't understand you because they grew up totally different than you with different experiences, different childhood, different parents, different schools, different education system. So I always go back to the Bible and what can we learn from that when it comes to loneliness, like this type of loneliness? And it's something very, very interesting that Jesus experienced. So let me just explain a little bit about what's going on before I read the verse. Okay, so near the end of Jesus' life, he's hanging on a cross. All right, he's literally been nailed to a cross. His disciple took off. They're like, dude, I'm out. They're freaking out, full on panic. They're betraying him. They are denying him, and they're out. They're gone. The crowds are watching, and at that moment, Jesus cries out with words that really have been echoing in history ever since. I'm sure you've heard this before, but Jesus says something, one of the last few words that he says, and he says, Matthew 27:46, my God, why have you forsaken me? Forsaken as in abandoned, left. I mean, Jesus, the Son of God, is saying these words. Not a disciple, not some random person in the Bible, the Son of God. He's saying, God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me? I mean, it's shocking. I think at that moment, when Jesus is hanging there, the feeling of having the presence of God had always been there, I believe. Strong sense of belonging, strong sense of, I'm a son of God. But at that moment, I think even Jesus was shocked, or at least surprised, of what he felt. Because I believe he felt 100% abandoned by God. Like God just left him. He's like, dude, you're on your own. And that feeling made him cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me? I mean, this is Jesus at the moment where he needed God the most, where he needed the presence of God the most. He's like, Why have you abandoned me? So in that moment, Jesus experienced complete isolation from everyone. Again, he'd been abandoned by his friends, rejected by all these people. Everybody wants him dead. And he's carrying now the weight of the sin of all of us. People that hate him. He's hanging there carrying that. And now even the feeling of being abandoned by God is there. Okay? So Jesus didn't stay distant from the pain that we experience. Sometimes we're like, how can I relate to somebody who was a son of God? Who did all these miracles. He has no idea what I went through. I don't know if that's ever crossed your mind, but it's definitely crossed my mind. But he didn't run or not experience that pain. He he actually experienced it exactly the same way we experienced it, because that pain was our pain that he experienced. So he knows 100% what it is to be betrayed, what it is to be rejected, what it is to be abandoned. And that's what he experienced on that cross. Like what worst abandonment that we've ever experienced. The reason is he didn't know anything else. He'd experienced the love of God, stronger and more powerful than we probably have ever experienced. And suddenly, boom, it is gone. Same thing with Adam and Eve. When they sinned, they've been experiencing belonging, this wonderful presence of the God all the time. And suddenly, boom, it's gone. Can you imagine something, the emotions and the feelings that they must have had? How intense that was. Because they had some forever and suddenly they don't have it anymore. It's gone. And they got sin in their life, all these crazy thoughts, and they're just like the shock and the trauma of the brain. It's got to be intense. So this shows us something very, very important, that God understands loneliness, like from the inside. Every emotion that you've ever experienced, like God fully knows that. He's experienced it. He knows exactly what it feels like. The Son of God experienced it. Probably 1,000, a million times worse than what we have ever experienced. That doesn't mean our experience isn't intense. But all I'm saying is he experienced it in a very, very intense way, just like you experience it. I'm not going to belittle what you experienced. I'll share a little bit later what I've experienced. But he experienced it too. You're not the only one. So if we, like I mentioned, Adam and Eve, if you go back, like we were created, we were created for fellowship and relationship with God, to hang out with Him, to belong with Him, for relationship. Like that's why we're here, to have a relationship with Him, to experience love, to experience His world the way He intended it to be. But loneliness was never part of that original design. Like it just wasn't. But the world we live in now has been 100% fractured or broken, destroyed, where that relationship has been destroyed. And now we misunderstand each other, and we don't connect with other people the same way. And loneliness just has become a part of your life, my life, all of our life. Doesn't matter who you are, you experience it. You go on social media, I can tell you, even though they have these perfect lives, they're going through some loneliness. If nobody knows what it's like to be them. The story of Jesus is beautiful. Like it is absolutely gorgeous. Man, it is gory, it is painful, but man, it is still beautiful. God didn't stay away from loneliness at all. Like he entered into it, every single emotion, and he experienced it. Because many of us experience that loneliness just quietly. It's a silent thing in the back of our mind, and we're just like, yeah, it's there. And we don't even, sometimes even, we don't even go there. But if you go there and you're like, you know what? I experience not being known in my family, not at work. You feel disconnected with everyone else. And it's like nobody truly understands their life, my life. You're like, we don't understand what is going on. And the cross then that Jesus died on reminds us of something very, very powerful. And that is that Jesus knows exactly what loneliness is, not in theory, but in actual experience. And that's beautiful. It sounds awful, but it's still beautiful. Because how can you relate to people if you don't know what they're experiencing? So, what do we do when loneliness shows up in our life? Well, the first thing is just remembering something very, very simple. Even when we feel so incredibly alone, we are not alone in that feeling. Jesus has been there, He's experienced it, and He knows fully what you're going through. I sometimes don't want to draw too much attention to myself and make it about me, but I will share some things that I've experienced, and then hopefully, hopefully you can't relate too much because what I went through, I don't want anyone to ever go through. But I had an injury, and my eyes couldn't process light, my brain couldn't process light, so I was stuck blindfolded for many years in a dark room because I couldn't use my eyes, and I was blindfolded. My body was stuck in panic. Couldn't switch off. Full on panic, shaking, could feel every light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, could feel everything going on around me. Cars driving outside, I could feel everything going on in my stomach, my whole sensory overload. It was crazy. And then stuck in panic. Couldn't switch off. The panic feeling never went away until I got help, right? Anyways, I was stuck in that. And I'll tell you that the hardest thing with that whole thing was being like, you know what? God, why did you abandon me? It's the hardest thing. The pain, the feelings of panic that were constantly there, the depression, like all that kind of stuff, like that was one level. But the worst was like, God, why'd you screw me over? Why'd you leave me? Why'd you abandon me? So it's the same thing that Jesus experienced. And I think it is probably one of the worst experiences that anyone can ever experience. And we all have experienced it to different levels. That was my experience. That was Jesus had his experience on the cross. Brutal. Okay? A million times worse than mine. But it doesn't matter how bad it was, whether you were crucified on the cross or sitting in a dark room or you were just sitting at work or among your family, your friends, your spouse, and you're feeling the deepest loneliness that's ever been experienced. It's all the same thing because your experience is no different than Jesus' experience. It's no different than my experience. It's no different than anybody's experience because the feelings are still real. The experience is as real and as big for you as it was for me and Jesus, for anyone else. And some of you have experienced 100 times worse things than me, 100 times worse, even maybe worse than Jesus on the cross. But the feeling's still the same. So it doesn't matter where or how it happened. The experience of the trauma, of the abandonment, of no belonging, of no security, of nobody being there for you is still real. It doesn't matter what you went through. It is that feeling is just so incredibly intense. So in closing, how do you encourage somebody in this kind of stuff? Loneliness is so hard. And for me, I got to get through it and realize, well, yeah, Jesus suffered on that cross. I went years. It looks different, but it's still the same feeling. And realizing that our God has experienced everything we've experienced has completely changed my life. When I talk to him, when I share with him, he knows what it's like to be me. Nobody else knows what it's like to be me. God knows. And because of that, I don't feel so lonely anymore. So I would encourage you to do the same thing. Share everything that you feel in those moments. It doesn't need to be injury or anything like that. It could be you literally just sitting here at home, in your office, wherever you're at, and just be like, God, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. And you can see the thread all the way back to Adam and Eve, what they experienced in the garden when they got kicked out, when they sinned, and they got kicked out. Jesus had to find a plan, rescue them. God's like, well, I got to rescue them. Jesus like, here am I, send me. He goes. Rescue mission to bring us home to our Heavenly Father. But that abandonment, that started there. And it's been going on for a long time. And it's not just me and you. Jesus experienced it, me and you, we've all experienced it. Most people don't want to go there. It's scary. Those emotions are so painful. They go all the way back to Adam and Eve. And it is brutal. But I would encourage you to just share it with God. I told him everything. He knows everything going on in my head. All the thoughts, man. Just tell him everything. Well, what am I going to do? What else am I going to do? I have nothing else. I can just tell him what's going on. He knows it already. Nothing to be ashamed of. This is what's in my mind. This is what's in my heart. This is what I thought about you. This is what I think about you right now. I'm pissed off right now. So I think just voicing it out, not like it all the time and create this like cycle of like, oh, I'm just, angry at whatever guy, whatever. No, you voice it out and you share what's going on. He knows what it's like to be you. Just say it out. And I would encourage you to also find somebody, which I've done, and just you don't need to dump everything on everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like you can share a little bit, but let them just know a little bit what it's like to be you. Because once they know a little bit what it's like to be you, you're not going to be lonely anymore. You're not going to feel that loneliness anymore because they know what you're going through. Now you can always end it with something encouraging to kind of snap you out of it. I had to do that. I'm like, dude, I shared something. I was like, okay, well, what are the good things? What are the blessings in my life? So I can be like, dude, get it, pull myself out. Because you can get in this cycle of like, and you see the bad stuff. But there's always something good, some blessings that God has given you. So that just find somebody that you can trust and just share a little bit with them. And that you'll notice quickly that feeling of loneliness just it lifts because it doesn't have any foothold in that sense. It doesn't have any like now somebody knows what it's like to be you at least a little bit, and you're no longer that loneliness. Like you're no longer that lonely. And as you move, as you develop these relationships that you get with people you trust in a small group or a church or whatever, and then some pastor, somebody that you can find, just share, and they will know what it's like to be you, and you realize you're not on your own. We're all the same. We all have the same struggles. It just looks differently. But we all experience this, which is why we were created for relationship, community, fellowship with other people. And that's a beautiful thing. So even in your worst moments, when you like think nobody sees you, nobody knows you, nobody knows what it's like to be you, like you're known. And you're not alone. Jesus was not alone on the cross. He felt abandoned, but God was right there with him. God didn't leave, but he had to experience that emotion. He had to experience that God is always all around us. And God is with me. God is with you. You are known. You're not alone. And you can count on him to know what it's like to be you. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you're doing well. I know it's not easy. Trust me. I know. But he knows it. He knows what it's like. And that's what's important. We just need to know that. Know it in the depths of our hearts, not just in our minds, but know it deep down inside of our hearts. So no matter what happens around us, we know God is with us. And he knows what it's like to be us right now. All right. Hope you're doing well. Love some feedback. If you have any questions, let me know. All right. Take care.